Welcome to Android Studio how-to series. So today we're going to look at how to develop Android application using client-server architecture, where the application requests online database using mysql and PHP. So the client-server architecture is based on the following design. So the Android application requests the data from mysql database through the use of PHP web service. So PHP will handle any communication with mysql database queried by Android application and written back to the PHP web service, and then PHP web service will return a text data format such as JSON back to Android application, where Android application will receive the data and read and display the data back to user. So I'm going to display the application first. So this is just a simple application just to demonstrate how online application works. So this application comes with two activity. So the first activity basically handle registration and login, where user can register using username and password, and this is also connected to the using the client server architecture, where username and password is on the mysql database. Alright, so when we click on register, so for example we have username abc@gmail.com, password 12345, and then register, it should return success, registered with the database. And then when we log in, the application will bring user to the main interface, where user can enter or can do all database operations such as insert, delete, update and search. Here the application is about food application, where user can input food name, food price and food location, and also user can take picture. So by using AVD here, we don't have the camera features, so we use the mockup camera here, and then you can take picture. And then the picture will be displayed here. User can enter food information, so for example pizza, RM2.50, location Marmalade, and you can press the save button here. And then the data will be displayed back down here inside this list view. Okay, so when you click on the data down here, you can have the information display back. If you like to delete the data, you can long press on the item and delete the data. Alright, so that is basically how the application works. So we're going to look at the code and how to develop the application. So the application can be downloaded through GitHub link provided below. So the application actually comes in two main components, which is the Android application itself, and then the PHP file, and also the third part is the mysql database itself. Alright, so we're going to look at the first interface, the login interface. So when you develop this, you should start with your layout. So the layout for this is activity login.xml, where you can download, you can use the sample activity login.xml and use this into your layout. So it's quite simple. So username, password, and with 2 login button. So here I use a linear layout vertical and set the layout gravity to center. So that is the first login and the first layout. For the first layout, handled by login activity.java. So within login activity.java, we're going to look at the layout for activity main.java. So activity main.java contain the following interface. So again, my main design is based on linear layout, or you can use also scroll view if you think that your application need to run on a small device. So you might want to use scroll view for this, but for this sample application I just use linear layout. So within this linear layout, we have the image view, edit text, 2 edit text and 1 spinner, 2 buttons and 1 list view. So the way that we arrange, you can refer to the activity main2.xml and you can just copy paste, put it the code, except that for the icon camera here, so I do have my own icon camera that, or maybe you can just download for the internet for the icon camera. So put that into your map. So this is the camera. So activity2 main.xml handled by main2.activity. Alright, so that is for the interface. So coming back to login activity.java. So login activity.java, so we started with component initialization or view initialization. So here we have 2 edit text, 2 buttons. So edit text 1, edit text 2. So edit text 1 for email, edit text 2 for password, button 1 for register, and button 2 for login. Oh, sorry, the other way around. Button 2 for login, button 1 for register. And then down here we have the listener for both buttons. So button 2 handle the registration, button 1 handle the login. So we start with registration. So when user want to register, and then user enter 2 information here, and that 2 information stored in username and password. And then we have this method register user. So register user contain a class, an async task class that allow us to access to our PHP file and submitting 2 array, post array to the register.php. Alright, so let's take a look at the register method in detail. So you have 2 passing parameter here, username and password, that we get from the buttons. Inside here, register user, extend async task. Since we have 2 variable that we like to pass, which is username and password, and request handler to perform the post request, and then request handler send post request with the server URL up here that I define to my server. So you can use also web host if you like to, /0.webhost. This is your own web host. Please refer to web host to tutorial to use web host. So we need to send this to information. So if we have more, we need to send more. So this post array will be bundled into hashmap object, and then send using request handler with the server URL under directory food app /register.php. So let's take a look at the PHP. Alright. So this is the PHP file. For register.php, I'm going to show you the file, and of course together I already included with the file. So here there's one file called dbconnect.php with username and password. Okay, so this must be the same with your Android hashmap. This username and password, and username and password must be the same. $username, $password, this one is basically for PHP. So you need to make sure that this file is within your web directory. So my web directory is under that directory. So when you access to the server directory, make sure that you use the correct directory, food app /register.php. Alright, so here, so based on the code register.php, so you can see that there's a SQL statement here that will deals with the connections, insert into user. So inside my PHP, inside my database, there's a user table with two field, username and password, with value from here, username and password SHA. So password SHA, I use SHA1 to convert the value that user enter into password SHA. And if connection, this is the one that execute the query con that comes from dbconnect. Success, it returns success, or else it will return fail back to Android. So that's why here on post execute, it will return the S value that we get from send post request, and here we have either success or not. So if the server return PHP return success, I'm going to toast success. If not, we'll return fail. And here we execute the class register user, our user, new registered user, and then we manage to execute this method for registration. Right, so for the dbconnect, so dbconnect, you need to make sure that your phpMyAdmin contain contain user. So this is the user information. Okay, it contain username and password. So this is just the bare minimum. You can add more information if you like to. So this is user and password, and this is SHA1 encryption. It encrypt the value using SHA1 into this string. Alright, and you also need to make sure that the name of the database must be the same name that when we define inside our dbconnect. So this is the database connector. It is very important file, because you need to set when you create your database, you need to set all the username and password correctly, and this must be your own username and password. Right, so you need to set up your database first, or else it won't work. Alright, so next, for the login operation, so login operation here also the same, executed by button 1. So button 1 actually handle for login operation. So again, we need to get the information first from the edit text for username and password, and then we have this method that handle the login operation with the username and password that we receive from our layout. So again, the same, we use a do in background, username and password, and then submit using request handler, and request handler post request send to the login.php. So I'm going to show you the login.php, what the files look like. So here you can see that username and password with the post array. This also must be the same with your here hash map object. When you put into username and password, this must be the same, because PHP will only receive that here, username and password. Here we use this in our query. Select all from user where username equal username, password equal password char. So we need to convert the value into SHA1, and then return if it is success or not. Means that the username and password is in the database, and PHP will return if it is success or not. So here, if it is success, intend to the main to activity.layout. If it is not success, just don't do anything, just toast fail. Simple as that. And then execute login user. This is very important. If you don't have this, you cannot execute this extend task class. Alright, so that's it. So that what happened in this login activity. So you press login, you manage to log in, and it entered this main layout. Alright, now moving on to main activity. So once user successfully log in to the application, to the main activity 2, so we're going to look into main activity 2. So the first thing that you need to look, okay, of course we need to declare all the object that we use. We need to initialize our view. So you can see here under onCreate method you have init view. So inside this init view we have the following. So to declare everything that we use from our view. Alright, so init view, and then implement all the button click listener. So we have button 3 for insert, button 4 for delete, and then on the list view itself, the project implemented on long click to delete the information, to delete the food from database, and then set on item click listener to get the information back from the database, and then display not from the array, and then put it into our layout. Here just to enter, and then image food. Okay, for image food, this is where we implement take picture. Okay, so we use action image capture to take picture, and for this we need to enable in manifest a few things. Of course, we need to allow users permission for the internet, and then users feature for the camera itself, and also for the permission to write external storage and read external storage, because we need to save our image to phone local directory. Alright, so we're going to start with the first thing. And the first thing is that we need to load the food information into our array, into our list view down here. There's a list view here that implement custom list view that will display data. Right. So if we click on this, so we need to first understand how this camera features work. So when you click on the image view, the camera app will be open up, and then you can take picture, and then it display here. So how to achieve that? So to achieve that, we need to have a few things. Okay, the first thing that we need to implement is the image view, image food itself. And because when we click on the image food, we need to implement this intent take picture, and then request image capture for this and get the package manager, and then action image capture, then start activity. So once we get that, we need to have another override method, because that override method will basically do this on activity result. It return when you click OK, it return back this on activity result. If request capture is true and the result of the capture is also true, which means that we click OK to capture the picture, and then it return on this method activity result. This is an override method, right? So here what happened is that we get the information. Actually this one just for the management of the size of the image foot. This is where the image is being accessed. So you have bundle extra, bitmap, get data. This is just use it. Thumbnail, if you like to get an exact size of the image, 800 times 600 in this case, and then set the image foot to the set bitmap that we get here. Okay, and then you get this contact wrapper. So here this is to store temporarily into our storage, so it goes up until here. So this basically will allow us to take picture and then store in our local directory, and the local directory is inside the application directory. The file name is foot.jpg. So later when we upload the image, we're going to upload foot.jpg, and the compression here is 90%, and that's it. Alright, that for that particular operation. When you click take picture, and then you get the picture here. There's no upload yet. The upload only happen when we press save button. So for example, laksa, price 4 ringgit, location Muamalat, press save button, then the image will be uploaded to our server. Alright, so how is that is being done? So that you need to look into insert button. So insert button here handled by insert foot. So this is the button that handle the insert foot operation. So foot name, foot price, foot location, that's 3 information that we get. And this method here, insert foot with the foot name, foot price and foot location. So there's a class here called insert foot that handle the request handler operation. So we need to submit 3 information to the server: foot name, foot price, foot location. So the PHP file that handle this is insert.php. So we look at insert.php. So inside insert.php, this and this must be the same with this and this. Right, so we get this information array from user, and then insert into foot. So you need to have your foot inside the database. Okay, foot ID, foot name, foot price, foot location, and then insert into foot these 3 variable and the value that we get from user here: foot name, foot price and foot location, and then execute the query. And we get the information, echo back the user to user success or fail. This one just to get the last insert ID, because you want to get the ID, the next ID for our foot. Okay, because we need to create ID for this, a unique ID to store information. So to get the last ID, we use this command con insert ID. Return this back to user, or if fail, return fail, so that Android here on post execute will get the information correctly. Alright, so for this part, this is basically just to get the split, so that we get either if it is success or not, and we get the next ID that we're going to use for this is stored in the is going to be stored as an image name, because we don't have the image ID. The way that I use here is basically to store the image name. We didn't have yet the ID. We want to store the image name. We need to store this together with image with image name. Or else you can also submit this together with insert.php. So that is also another way of doing it. But here I divided the operation both into two operation, where we need insert and also upload as a separate operation, but actually you can also combine this into one. But of course, before that you need to convert the value and then encode the image first. And here, once I successfully uploaded or successfully inserted the data into database, I need to perform encode image to encode the image that we get from user into what we call as base64. So this is the encoded part. Encode and then encode that into base64 with the encoded string, and then this method, once we successfully encoded into base64 using this encode image method class, make request method here is basically the one that will upload the image to the server. Okay, so here we can see make request encoded string and then the string image name, so that we get from the array before. And this is just a progress dialog, so nothing more, just to show how to use a progress dialog. And here we submitted our image name together. So the reason why I divided this into two separate PHP, although you can use one single PHP, is that you can see you can use this as your reference and try to understand how the image upload works in a separate file. However, you can actually combine this into one PHP file and make it simple, make it just one PHP file that handle image upload and also insert statement. And then on post execute, you can also use as when the as return success or not for the upload image operation. So this is the upload image. Okay, you can actually combine this together with your insert operation, but just to make things clearer, so this is basically the method that this is basically the PHP file that I use to upload image to server in this directory. There's a one file here, 1.jpg. I didn't put into database as a blob data, as a base64 data, because it's going to be very long file. So it is easier for me to just take the file, upload it into server, and then later we can retrieve using Picasso. So that is just one way of looking into it. You can also do that and store into database the base64, the blob data, but you might have problem later with the database performance, because you need to load the data with a very large data into our array, and array might have some problem handling with data, very large data. Alright, so that is for the insert statement. It takes quite a little bit longer process to do. So once upload process successfully done, progress dialog dismiss, and then we call again load foot to refresh the content of our list view. So again, to refresh the content of our list view, I use the search all method. So if you look at load foot here, I call this load foot method from onCreate method. Okay, so within the onCreate method down here, you have this load foot, and then this load foot basically load using search all.php, we look at search all.php. Okay, so this is search all.php that will select all from food, order by food ID ascending, and then you get food ID, food name, food price, and food location written back using JSON data format. Right, this is using JSON data format. Actually, you can just query this and you get JSON data format, and then array push the JSON data format food back to Android, and then Android here will receive as, and as will contain JSON data format, and then JSON data format will be processed in post execute. So inside post execute, we have this JSON object to traverse the JSON data format, where it will extract the information from JSON data format such as food ID, food name, food price, food location from here, right, from this JSON data format. So the JSON object here is called food, and JSON object here define food, and I put it into array food, so just a simple array, so that easy for us to load into our array. And then assign the value into hash map, and from the hash map array list here, put it into food list, and then use the adapter to populate our custom list. So this is main to activity dot this food list, so the food list hash map array list, and then submit this to our custom list. So from custom list here, you can see this is where we manage our custom list view. So custom list view that you can see from here, this is custom list view. Okay, it contains food ID, food name, food price, and also food location. So that handled by custom list view layout. Okay, so this is where we have our custom list listed. So you can see tax view 7, tax view 6, so all the information that we like to display will be displayed using this custom list into our list view. Alright, so it handled by all this, receive the data from our adapter here. This is the adapter. You can see the adapter submitted all this for information using the food list hash map array list, and this is where we display the data back to user using custom list view. Okay, define, get the value from adapter, set the value back, and then for image view, so as I mentioned before, I'm using Picasso. So Picasso basically will load based on the following URL with the food ID, because my food ID, the image name that I use, all based on food ID information. So id.jpg, so it's easy for us to access later. And then use Picasso, load image URL, resize the image, and set network policy. This is also quite important because we don't want Android to cache the image. If we updated image with a new image, and then you cannot get that new image displayed back. So we need to remove any cache whenever we load back into the image, but this will affect performance because we keep on resetting the image cache. Alright, next, what we have here, populate the list view with the adapter that we define here, and then we get this. So if you add more information, bihun 2 ringgit 50 cent, and location to TM, take new picture, picture, and then save. Okay, so you have second data here, first data, second data. Alright, so that is for the save statement or insert statement. So the next statement is for delete. So to delete is quite easy. It's based on the long item click listener. Okay, on long item click listener, we need to get the position of the click, so which is the ID. So we need to get the ID, and that ID can be we can get the ID from our food array, for food array position, and then food ID. So when we get the food ID, we can easily delete the information. We don't get food ID, it is quite impossible to delete unless you implement certain operation or matching your variables together. But the easiest way, you need to get one unique ID in your database and define that to delete that ID. So delete food information, delete food dialog. So here the dialog, when you long click on certain data, are you sure you want to delete this? So that what it does, delete food dialog. If yes, delete food. If no, just cancel. So if yes, there's another method here, delete food. Okay, so delete food here again, I keep on using the same method and class async task. So submit food ID and use this delete PHP. We look into the delete PHP. So this is delete.php. Quite simple. Get the ID and then perform delete from food where food ID equal food ID. Return success if it is okay, if not, return fail. So on post execute here, delete success if return success, if it return fail, delete fail, and then execute the class. Simple as that. And for update operation also, you need to select on certain data that you like to update. So let's say laksa perak. So you want to update the price RM2.50, and then you press update. Okay, so because we choose this the same image. If not, we need to update. If you want to update the new image, so you need to select the image with the new image. For example, this picture, and then update. Right, so that new image. Right, so delete dialog done. Next we move into update. So update operation also the same with insert. So update food. So update food we need to redo again because we need to submit all these 4 information: food ID, food name, food price, and food location, because we updated the value based on the food ID. And then we use update.php. You can see update.php here. So update.php, update food, set food name, food price, food location, where food ID equal food ID that we get from the array, post array. And then success or not, update success and update fail. If update success, update also with the new image. So again, I keep executing the same method, encode image, execute get dir and food ID, because that is basically the image that we get. And then we need to submit again the name of the image. And that's about it. So it should help you to develop a basic online client server based request application. So you can try using web host and use this as your example, as your reference. So if you have any problem, let me know. And with that, you can download this from GitHub, and happy coding.